Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you all for coming out today. 3 years ago, I went to Ireland for my first time and visited my dear friend Liam McGee, who was friends of Liam in this room here tonight. And Liam introduced me to John and Isabela Hoban, and it's really made my life richer knowing these folks. And I was treated last year in Ireland to a house concert that they set up for me to do in a little sing-around thing that we did at the Club Bay Hotel. And John and Liam had this little thing they call it From the Heart to the Hearth. And Liam says whenever he's asked what does that mean, he says it's music the way we want to do it, not what the club owners want or whatever. So if it's music from the heart you're looking for, you came to the right place tonight. Welcome from Castlebar, County Mayo, John Hoban.
So I'm going to start off anyway and play a tune called, just a real simple tune on this one was called Porta Jory, the Exile's jig, slip jig. Actually, I went into another jig there at the end of it, called the Kid on the Mountain. It's a kid goat. Now, I'm meant to take out the fiddle. This is the instruments are also all instruments that have been lent for the evening by very, very generous musicians who are sitting around here as we speak. This is, I think, Joe Dady's fiddle.
It was, it's yours now.
For the moment. And it's beautiful. As a man said, it's a great old world if we don't weaken. I'm going to, I haven't a real set plan for the order of things, but I'm going to play a couple of traditional tunes on the fiddle, reels, which I think that's all they're interested in County Clare, if I'm not mistaken, just reels, reels, reels. Any other music. So, there Marty, I'm going to play 3 tunes that I learned from a man called John Kelly from Rehy. I'm sure you know him. He had a sweet shop in Dublin called the Horseshoe. And John Kelly called these tunes after the Humours of Carriga Holt, Delia Crowley and the Cabin Hunter. And I think he learned them off Patrick Kelly from Cree or down there anyway. So 3 clay reels, definitely. And I think I had that in my mind. If you were here, I was going to try and play them for you. And I hope I'm not too nervous to play them for you now. The music I learned to play coming from Mayo, I used to go down to Galway sometimes, and it's true, I'd go to Galway and people would say, sure, there's no music in Mayo, sure, you couldn't be playing that music. And that's true, and so a lot of people from Mayo, this is about exile now and friendship, a lot of people from Mayo went down to Galway and said they were from Galway. So they wouldn't say they come from Mayo. And some said, even in London, where I spent time in London, exile in London, they said that they were from Sligo. Because there was music in Sligo. There was traditional music in Sligo, and there was none in Mayo. So the music in Mayo, people asked me, and I spent many years on the roads, not working for the county council now, but travelling on the roads, and all around Mayo, and I researched it inside and outside, and the reason why there was no music in Mayo was because it was all in Leeds, and it was in New York, and it was in London. It was just gone. Or else, another place that it spent a bit of time was in the big house on Chalkmore, the St. Mary's Hospital. And this tune I'm going to play now came from a man who was a patient in the mental hospital. His name was Dick Prendergast. He was a great friend of mine. Long story with this tune, but it's a simple tune that you know well, Off to California. And it's a hornpipe, and I'll play it for you in memory of this man, Dick. and Blue Hill crept in there at the end. So the next piece of music I'll play for you is a song. Oh yeah. Welcome. Hail me Forge. I love, it's lovely to be here. It's lovely playing music for yourself. This is the song, I'll sing this to kind of tie up a few pieces of music together. It's a song about where I come from again. Well, it's a song I wrote a few years ago. I wrote this in Curran in Achill, and it's called the Fiddle and Banjo. Fiddle and Banjo. I play the banjo, and mostly I play the mandocello, but it doesn't rhyme in the song, so I use fiddle and banjo. I say it's better sound, you know. Fiddle and mando, I suppose, was, you know. But this is about travelling around the world, which I've done a fair bit of, good bit of, and ending up back in the shores of Clubay, which is where I come from, really. Around the shores of Clubay, not in Clubay, but I kind of, John Lennon lived, he had an island, or he didn't live there, but he reckoned his soul was around Clubay as well. So I never met his soul around Clubay, but he was there one day. But I was on the island that he bought, Darrinch is the name of the island. Small island, he'd never spent time in it. But that's where I reckon my spirit would come back to when I go around the world. I'd just go back to there again, probably like a pigeon or a homing pigeon or a bird or something. I'd end up back on the shores of Clubay, for better or for worse. You know. So there's about 4 sites in the song. One is Okima, Oklahoma, where's the home birth of place of Woody Guthrie. And the other place is Istanbul in Turkey. And the other place is Queensland in Australia, and I think that's the 3, and then back in the west again, the west of Ireland. So it's called the Night of the Road is the other name on this, really. From the county Mayo. Sorry, I'll sing it lower. I'm a rambling man from the county Mayo. Excuse me now. I have a bit of a difficulty with my voice, and it'll settle now in a second. I had what happens there is about 3 radio stations coming in about different keys to sing this in, so I won't say anything about those voices now. But friendly. I'm a rambling man from the county Mayo. When spring comes around, I'm ready to go wherever my spirit longs to be. The road is my friend, it takes care of me. With my fiddle and banjo, I've covered some ground, from Belfast to Boston and dear Achill Sound, Okima, Oklahoma and Santa Fe. But the place I call home is round the shores of Clubay. Met 2 black swans in Queensland one day. They restored me to sanity like making hay. I spent 3 days by train across the Nullarbor plain with no tree in sight. I near went insane. With my fiddle and banjo, I've covered some ground, from Belfast to Boston and dear Achill Sound, Okima, Oklahoma and Santa Fe. But the place I call home is round the shores of Clubay. Istanbul is in a world of its own. I met a father and a son, played the fiddle and the drum, in a shop that was close on 1,000 years old. We sang and we danced till the cats came home. With my fiddle and banjo, I've covered some ground, from Belfast to Boston and Deer Racket Sound, Okemo, Oklahoma and Santa Fe. The place I call home was on the shores of Clew Bay. I'm still young at heart, I'll ramble, I'd say, playing this music for an honest day's pay. When I'm called on a shore, I'll be ready to go, far from those blue hills of the county Mayo. With my fiddle and banjo, I've covered some ground, from Belfast to Boston and Deer Racket Sound, Okemo, Oklahoma and Santa Fe. The place I call home is on the shores of Clew Bay. Thank you. That's true. True story. Shores of Clew Bay. In Newry town, I was bred and born. In Stephen's Green, I died in scorn. I served my time to the saddler's trade, and I turned out to be a roving blade. At 17, I took a wife. I loved her dearly as I love my life, and for to keep her both fine and gay, I took to robbing on the King's Highway. I never robbed any poor man yet, nor any tradesman caused I to fret. I robbed the lords and the ladies bright, and took their jewels home to my heart's delight. To Covent Garden I made my way, with my dear wife for to see the play. Lord Golden's crew, they did me pursue, and I was captured by that wicked crew. And when I'm dead and in my grave, no flashy funeral, pray let me have but 6 bold highwaymen to carry me. Gave them broadswords and sweet liberty, 6 pretty maidens to bear my pall. Give them white garlands and ribbons all, and when I am dead, they may speak the truth He was wild and a wicked youth. In Newry town I was bred and born. In Stephen's Green now I lie in scorn. I serve my time to the saddler's trade, and I turned out to be a roving blade. Thanks very much. Thank you. That was one of the first songs I learned when I got a guitar. And kind of everything I'm singing now in a way, it's, well, not everything, but nearly everything is kind of, it's been passed on to me one way or another. I learned that off a fella in Galway at one time, in Galway City, in a bar called the Cellar Bar. Great friend in Westport, County Mayo. His name was James O'Malley. He's passed on now. He didn't make it up to the ton, Marty. He didn't make it up to the. He didn't get the money from the president. You'll be getting a fair. Oh, sure, you got it already. You got it, yeah. A fair check. But James lived until he was 96. But he was a man who lived only 8 miles outside Westport, a place called Carrarebook. And anyways, he was never anywhere else in his life except into Westport. And he moved into Westport. But he was what was called a simple person. He lived with his brother Mick, and Mick looked after the horses while James just played the tin whistle all day. He was kind of work shy, you know, he was kind of a shy man. He didn't work very hard. But we became great friends. And I was in Australia in 1988 and he got hit by a car in Westport, but it was very minor, and 2 friends brought him into a bar in Castle Bar in Westport. And this is true, they brought him into the bar and he was full of sayings, but it was just how he said things, you know, and somebody said he was kind of shook, and he used to wear a cap at a certain angle, like Marty's cap, or that he wore the cap, and he had a certain angle on his head. Some people used to call him the man that walked beside his cap because it was at a real precarious angle. But he was brought into the bar anyway. These 2 friends, Johnny and Connie, brought him in and they said, "Will you have a drink, James?" And he said, "I will." He says, "I will. I'll have a bottle of stout." He says, "I believe it's good when you're run down." He meant it too. So this song, anyway, I tried to write this song about him in Fremantle, in a cafe in Fremantle one day, sitting there on my own, and I tried to write these kind of really, you know, lyrical songs. Because I was on the phone and somebody, James O'Malley, had an accident, so I thought, geez, I hope he doesn't die. So I'd write a song about him. But as sure as I'm sitting here, when I started to write about him, all the things he said to me started coming into my head. It was like that thing with my voice, the radio thing. So this song is all things he said to me, really. And the tune, you'll know the tune. You'll certainly know it in Connemara anyway, on Rogue Radu, the Black Rogue, is the tune. So it was from James I learned the tune anyway. He played the tin whistle, and I'll play you something as he played the tin whistle. He played a lovely style, old way of playing the whistle. So this is the song anyway that I wrote to the. It's basically like his beat around Westport, small town, and I was reminded of it this evening when we went down and had a look. Jed brought us down around the town of Rochester. Never saw it before. So James's beat around Westport and looking at different people, making little comments and things about that as he saw things. For example, he was never in any country other than where he was. So I told him there was people from France in the pub. He said, "They're from France." And he said, "They weren't good at the talk." And I said, "But they have a different language." He says, I know, he says, "but they're not good at the talk." Didn't know there was another language. I wonder what class of a day it'll be. I'll saunter up James Street to see who I'll see. The horse show is on in North Sligo's today. There'll be crowds from Liscarney and further away. Women are better than men on a horse. I look into Sargie's open course. There's music tonight with John McGee. The people of High Street and John's Road can sing. Pat Friel is playing in Clark's all day. P.T. Millin is humming away. Here comes Johnny Hoban, his banjo in tow, and it's too early yet to knock up the show. A glass of stout, pipe of tobacco will do us no harm if we leave it at that. There's rain in the reek, a storm in the bay. I'll drop into the west for a nice cup of tea. There's Norman and Malcolm John Fadgen within. Porrick and Tobar have gone for a spin. Timber and coal make a great blaze. The women of Ireland are going through a phase. We can say hello, how's it going? But it never can be any mixing with them. You're better off single and fancy free than married for life in Renville by the sea. Here come a few French, they're not great at the talk. More from Clare Island, I know by their walk. You surely seen Billy, his top's in the box. Have you seen Connie singing The Little Red Fox? 11:05, I'm homeless once more. I've broken the curfew, the bowls at the door. You're always welcome, says Barbara Nan. Stick Skirty's house is a far better plan. One day in a life in County Mayo, where they say all are welcome, the friend and the foe. As long as we're spared to sing out our song, the day of the cop-og it mightn't be gone. Experience in life in County Mayo, where merchants and serpents come and they go. There's one who's outstanding no matter what's said. He wears his cap the left side of his head. Did you understand all of that?
Yes,
I bet you did. Now, for the night that's in it, this is a song recorded in 1927 by Mabel Carter and her sister Sarah and AP. Some of my favourite music of all time would be those people. And when I hear the Carter family singing, I do often think, and I listen to them every now and then, and I think, Jesus, that's so good, so good. I love it anyway. So this is a song. Now, this is very connected, and I'm going to dedicate this song, which many things are dedicated, but this is to Liam McGee. And this is dedicated to Liam because he heard me sing this song one night, and he totally loved the song, gave it to him, and he sang it here or in Canada for a friend who passed away. It's called You've Been a Friend to Me. My bark of life was tossing down the troubled stream of time, when first I saw your smiling face and youth was in its prime. I'll never forget wherever I roam, wherever you may be. If ever I have had a friend, you've been a friend to me. Misfortune nursed me as her child and loved me fondly too. I would have had a broken heart had it not been for you. I'll never forget wherever I roam, wherever you may be. If ever I have had a friend, you've been a friend to me. across life's troubled sea, and smile to think through all I've seen. You've been a friend to me. I'll never forget wherever I roam, wherever you may be. If ever I have had a friend, you've been a friend to me. I'll never forget wherever I roam, wherever you may be. If ever I have had a friend, you've been a friend to me. I know that one will travel.
Very nice.
That's the Carter family. Maybe a friend to me. So many good songs. This is talking about a friend as well. I have a friend called Wally Page, and he's a great songwriter in Dublin. Really, one of my favourite songwriters. So I heard from him very, very recently, and this, as I heard about it, and he has written so many great songs too, and I play with himself and another man, Johnny Mulhern. But this song he has written recent enough, and it's about Scotland, poor Scotland.
Yeah, you're right.
Scotland, the poor, you know.
Not even go there.
And this is about, and it's recorded by Christy Moore, sings, and a couple of people have recorded this song called The Barrowlands. And the Barrowlands, or the Barrows as they're known in Glasgow, is an area in the east side of Glasgow, the east end of Glasgow, which was the Irish, beside the Gorbals, this was the Irish enclave, and the Irish centres lived there, and there's markets there. But Christy Moore, my friend, plays there every year, so he asked Wally if he'd write a song about it. And I was over there, he brought me over, and I was hearing this thing of Christy was singing. It's a ballroom, there's a ballroom there, the song is about a ballroom. And so it mentions people that played in the ballroom, like Max McIver and the gay girls. There was these girls, there was a chorus girls called the gay girls, they used to sing in it. But the song is about this ballroom where the Irish people went. It also mentions other parts, other things in Glasgow. Jimmy Johnson, Jinky Johnson is mentioned in it. He was a great soccer player for Glasgow Celtic. This is all Celtic, Glasgow Celtic country. So it's a very beautiful song, I think. The Barrowlands. So, anyways, so I'm going to sing it because to Wally as well. I love singing it too. You're a great audience, as they say. You're very, very attentive. A lot of places I play now, you wouldn't get attention like this. if you can imagine the direct opposite. It's been most as well. Not so much noise. You get older, I think. You be more choosy. It's lovely too. There's an easy place down Gallowgate in the east end of Glasgow. It's a ballroom of remembrance, it's a disco where shooting stars light up the fresco, where the lost ones and the lovers go to carry on. We sang about the naked Thames in the back room of the Scotia, and we drank sweet wine and called for lean pints of Fidel Castro, till it was time to go to dreamland. Up to Baird's, up the stairs, to hell or to heaven we go. Come all you dreamers, hear the sound of the barras humming. Come all you dreamers to Barrowlands. There's Max McIver and the ghost of the gay birds calling. Come all you dreamers barrowlands, to barrowlands. The lassies o' the broomy law in their Cuban heels are dancing. There's Our Lady of the Clyde and there's G.T. Johnson to dance to rock and roll in the church of Cayley, to dance beneath the carousel of Heelan, to jitterbug and boogie the night away. Come on, you dreamers, hear the sound of the barras humming. Come on, you dreamers, to barrowlands. There's Max McIver and the ghost of the gay birds calling. Come on, you dreamers, to barrowlands, to barrowlands, to barrowlands. I think I mentioned it's now a rock and roll venue. It's one of the most famous rock and roll venues in the world. It's a ballroom where all from Metallica now to the Pogues to everything play in the Barrowlands, you know. It's a famous place in Glasgow. So now, we're all Glasgow. I'm going to just play a couple of tunes on the fiddle and then maybe by our own Oscoilga Aching Bejor. It was a song from Brian in Irish. So this is called Donegal. Anybody here from Donegal? I was thinking there was a Donegal person there. This is for Esther now, especially for Esther. And this is a great tradition of fiddling in Donegal, and this is called, and I'm going to play two pieces. One is called The Road to Glenloch. Is it Glenloch? It's composed by a man called Alex McConnell in the early 1900s. The McConnells were travellers, they were tinsmiths, and they were master musicians. And they were related, first cousins to the Dohertys. They were all related to the Dohertys. Are you Dohertys?
She was.
Tremendously important musicians, and this tune is a waltz. It's a 4-part waltz, a lovely tune, and I learned it from James Byrne. My mother was Byrne as well, but she was from Mayo. But this is Donegal tune, and then I'll play a mazurka from Donegal, as they call them. They call them mazurks, I think, in Donegal. There's a funny way they have saying mazurka anyway. Anyways, and then we'll have Brian for a second. It's an old tune now, from the 1900s. now, just to finish off this portion of the of the evening, I prefer to say the evening rather than the show, because the show was always what we put on when we were kids, when the Americans came over to visit and we had to sing for the Americans. That was called a show now. When they came to visit us and we had to sing. And there were lovely people, and they used to come from Brooklyn and North Carolina, my uncles and aunts and that. But we used to be brought in as kids to sing for them, and it wasn't easy. But now, I was going to ask Marty O'Keefe if he'd like to play a tune on the fiddle, but I think your arm is not great. The concertina's your main instrument now. But maybe we'll have a song from Brian Clancy.
This is like being brought in to the kids to sing a song.
Exactly. You don't have to face anybody. You have to face it.
Go on.
Yeah.
Shall I get a chair?
Yeah, I got one right here.
Oh, too cool. That's good. It's standing.
Do you want me to put it behind it?
Yeah.
What? Chair? We have plenty.
Chair right there.
Do you want this?
Oh, I love that one, Brian.
That's good. Is it an old love song? Man who was tortured for life, you know what I mean? But anyway, it's called Buchalón Yearna. O Buchalón Yearna's main vegin fin Charin so. O Nirn Bosperela, Tomet Sabuglor. Slam Corky of Veze or he that Lamas Tiro. Malar me basis main tire, Hunde Wio. Buchla Pomelo, Narclat Mishriv. I give up so go, lay home round the son sleeve. Machan me maroon, on ye moja, the chan me mohil. As ye molum the folk non broke, from Calabrin. Buchlo yenis me dregin, in Chaida so. In Bosperela, Tome Severglor. Slam Corky of Veze or he that Lamas Tiro. Manar me basics made tire, Hunde we go. Sinead.
Fahrenheit.
On a civil grove, Renal talk as small, Og vekke mission ta, is en tjener. Og på gjelde der av na kur desnes ra, na njale sier snav en gjerne. På vede der av na kur der ra, og Yeshelam sehu nam teti. Smana njela tiselam sa, og tete melam lov, is kaffer en sånn kjell, det er med. O Samagama Klimshen Achor was to see all the near. O Karki Nagun Gabil on the slow, she not see her boy Machen. O with us a year, nach even Zassi or seal. Da Menschen gesiele Kinder, Trono naiven Wien ist misches Maroon, Kagerni schläfte Wegner. That's it.
That was lovely. We have a real treat coming up now. It's a bit of variety in the second half. And I'm just going to play a tune for you. This is often referred to, it's often called a Clare reel, but it's called Junior Curran. Was the man, he come from Mullock and outside Milton Malbay there.
Up the banner.
Up the banner is right, yeah, that's for sure. Great county for music, and we'll have, I'll just play that tune as an introduction really to Marty O'Keefe, who's going to give us a recitation about the dawn on the hills of Erin maybe, or one of his choice. So first of all, I'll just play this tune, which was composed by a man called John McGrath. And he came from County Mayo, from Rossport in County Mayo, and went to Chicago. And at the turn of the 1900s, John McGrath was composing traditional music in Chicago of the highest quality. And a lot of it is played in Irish music nowadays, like Sean Secure and this one, the Knotted Chord is the name of it, and the Providence Reel and the Rossport Reel. And a lot of people have tried to claim them, a bit like people trying to claim When You Go Less You Go, or something like that, you know. But anyways, John McGrath composed this called the Knotted Chord, and then it'll introduce our guest, Marty O'Keefe, for a recitation after this. Marty actually offered to do this recitation himself, so why wouldn't he? So this is great.
Just in time.
Yeah.
The legend.
Now, I don't know, do you want to sit or stand, Marty, or whatever?
I think once I had done there,
Oh yeah, oh you could sit over
should we bring the chair over there? Marty, hold on. Sorry on this spot. Eyes on that spot.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Hips. Oh, that's Marty. Yeah. Oh. You're up.
Once you're up, you're up.
You're up to the right.
Now you're.
We know you're okay, Marty. We know that.
I won't take up much of your time because I'm not eating very much. But after 30 years in exile, I made up a poem about a inanimate day. And glory be to God, and there you are, the dawn in the hills of Ireland. God's angels lifting the dark veil of night from the beautiful face of my land. Oh, Ireland the grandeur looked like a bride in a rich adorn, with all that pent-up love in her heart, bidding you the top of the morning. This joyous hour pays lavishly back for many years of mourning. Sure, I'd almost take another flight just for the sake of returning. Watching out for you had shores, all attractions scorning. Oh, Lily, can't you hear me shout, bidding you at the top of the morning? And we got our coves in the grandeur look, watching the wild waves motion, leaning with your back to the hills and the tips of your toes in the ocean. So no wonder I can't hear the Shandon bells. But maybe that chiming is over. For there are many years since first I began the life of a western rover. Yes, 30 years a storm of Cree, the land which I now face my eye on, was never seen except in a dream of memories past arising. But even so it was grand it looked, as that vision shone before me, when I'd open my eyes and still see Texas skies still o'er me. Now fuller and clear of the shoreline looks, so as the river's sea more splendid. I can almost taste that monster breeze. Thank God my exile's ended. All scenes, old songs, old friends again. The vale, the cot I was born in. Old Ireland up from the bottom of my heart. Sure I bid you the top of the morning. Glory be to God.
One small joke. Could be a big joke, you never know. That could go down well, I'd say though.
When I was a young man, I got a motorbike and I take it down to the crossroads to show it off. And I met a fella there, his name was Clancy. He says, lovely bike, how fast does it go? I said, jump up and we'll take a ride. So I'm only going down there a few quarter of a mile, and he says, stop the bike, the wind is cutting the chest out of me. I stopped the bike, I says, take off the jacket, I says, and turn it around, back to the front, and I'll zip it up on the back and you won't feel a bit of that wind. So I did. Now we're going down the road and I'm doing about 80. I said to him, how do you like her? Sure, he wasn't there at all. I had him lost about 2 miles back the road. So I wheeled the bike around and I went back, and here I stands on the side of the road, and there was 2 or 3 farmers around him, and I said, my God, how is he? Well, he said, he wasn't so bad when we got here, but since we turned his head around the right way, he hadn't spoken a word.
Did you get it? Careful, easy on her.
That was fantastic, Marty. Fantastic. Sorry, Steve.
Maybe a bit down, maybe. Yeah.
No, just a couple of songs to do, and a couple of tunes, and then Isabela, my wife, will join me for a tune on the mandolin, and then we'll have Steve and John and Jed for and Isabela for a finale. But that was as special a moment or time as I could have ever. Now here's a song I spend a lot of time, I still do, in my hometown, even play on the street as a street musician. I'm a busker, they call them, I suppose. I play the banjo usually, or the fiddle on the street. It's harder to sing on the street, but for many years I did it all around Ireland, and I busked all around wherever, any country I was in. In fact, if I was another day or two in Rochester, you'd see me down I'd be very at home on the street, you know. I like street music a lot, you know. It's an old tradition too, you know, but there's something about it. So I'm going to sing a song that this actually happened, and it reminded me, Marty reminded me of it, in a pub in Sligo one day. I was taking a break. I was having a little tea break. Well, actually, I think it was more than tea I was drinking in those days. So I was on the street, and I went into this pub, and this man came in, and he was a travelling man. He was a tinker by the name of Riley, and there was a very famous traveller called John Riley, who lived in Boyle in a place called Graham's Public House, or lived in Boyle, County Roscommon, but he came from Mayo originally. But he was a source of, John Riley was a source, he couldn't read or write, but he was a source of some of the greatest songs ever. Like Kate was talking yesterday about Clancy, like all those songs that Christy Moore sang about the raggle-taggle gypsy, and Who Put the Blood, and Lord Baker, and The Well Below the Valley. All those are traveller songs, they're all tinker songs, they're all ancient songs. And this man that came into the pub sort of reminded me of John Riley. And he was a big tall man, and he came in the door of Hargaton's pub in Sligo. I was playing the banjo on the street, and I just went in and I sat down, and I was drinking a bottle of Stout or something like that. Probably all I could ever afford. I never had any money, and I was always broke. A sorry sight. But I was happy in my own little world. So yes, I don't know whether I was or not, but that was the way I was anyway. And the man came in, and the woman in the house, the Bananchi, just looked at him like that at the door and says, "Are you okay, sir?" And he just walked up, and he passed, just as he was passing me, he stopped and he looked at me. And then he went up to the bar and he says, "I am a bold tinker, my name is Riley, I work at my trade and it's very well known. The work in coal metal makes a fella grow thirsty, only for that I'd leave liquor alone. So don't blame a fella for taking a little, you know it is right for to moisten the clay. If you'll believe me, I will not deceive you, once is enough for your whiskey to pay." She handed him a whiskey. He looked at me as he was just saying that. She handed him a whiskey. He handed her some money. He just picked up the whiskey and he said to me, "Adieu." Just adieu. And he drank down the whiskey and went out the door. And years later, well, it could be 5 years later or more, I was on the train and didn't all the words, and I remember the words. Oh yeah, because he was humming this little jig as well, this tune. It's a tune called The Bold Doherty. He was humming that tune to himself. He just hummed it and went out the door. He almost kind of waltzed out the door. And I remembered the tune as well. So then I put all these different words, all these other words around the song anyway. And I've been singing it since. And there's a few other people sing the song as well, and I like that they do, you know. So I call it A Day Out in Sligo, or Riley the Tinker, I call it sometimes like that. Or sometimes The Bold Doherty from the North Country again. Donegal is figuring because they're in the All-Ireland football final tomorrow. The Cumra J. playing Kerry. The Kingdom.
They're playing Kerry?
They're playing the Kingdom of Kerry tomorrow, John.
They don't have a prayer game.
You reckon? You could be right. You could be right. You could be right. Kerry are great footballers, no doubt. No doubt. No, yeah. We won't discuss football though. We won't.
Come on.
No. While busking in Sligo one long day in June, I slipped into a pub for to have me a beer. This old man came in, he addressed the whole company. Big Georgine Carmody gave him the chair. He thanked him and he sat down and gathered his senses. Yes, sir, said himself, now what will it be? The old man stayed silent and stood up so gracefully. Just as he spoke, his eye fell on me. I am a bold tinker, my name it is Riley. I've worked at my trade and it's very well known. Working coal metal makes a fellow grow thirsty, and only for that I'd leave liquor alone. So don't blame a fellow for taking a little. You know it is right to moisten the clay. If you'll believe me, I will not deceive you. Just once is enough for your whiskey to pay. Then slowly he opened his coat and he took out this brown leather purse with his wealth for the day. He scattered the copper, he reached for his measure. His eyes shook and his hands danced, and then he did say, 3,000 times over I've tramped here from Leitrim through Boyle, Cagew and Ballinamore. I never had no one, I asked for no favours, found I was welcome at everyone's door. He was humming an old jig I'd never heard, and it sounded so lonesome, so high and so clear. He drained the last drop, bid me adieu, and the song that I've sung has the same tune for you. Busking in Sligo one long day in June, I slipped into a pub where they had me the cure. The old man came in and he dressed the whole company. Big Georgine Carmody gave him his chair and he thanked him, sat down and gathered his senses. Yes, sir, said herself, now what will it be? The old man stayed silent and looked up so gracefully. Just as he spoke, his eye fell on me. tune came into my head. I rarely, if ever, have a set thing that I do, you know. So I rely a lot on what comes into my head in the middle of some. But sometimes it can be dodgy because things come into your head that you'd have 3 or 4 songs coming into your head at the same time. That tune came into my head at the end of it, called "The Job of Journey Work." It's an old set dance. It was one of those tunes that people used to dance to. Every note there was a step to every note, you know. This is a song now dedicated to my wife Isabela. It's called "A Song for Marcella," and Marcella was the pen name that Bobby Sands used in the Kesh when he was in. So it's a song for Marcella, written by a friend of his, Brendan McFerrin. It doesn't seem quite so long ago, the last time that I saw you. Ain't it funny how those memories go? Seems they always fold around you. They tried to break you in a living hell, but they couldn't find a way. So they killed you in an H-block cell. They thought the world would turn away. They thought your spirit wouldn't rise again, but you dared to prove them wrong. So in death you tore away the chains. Let the world hear freedom's song. Let the heartache and the pain linger on. They're still here, but it's so long since you've gone. But we're stronger now. You showed us how freedom's fight can be won. I wish there was an easy road to choose to bring the heartaches to an end. But easy roads are always sure to lose. I've seen it time again. But if you could stand by me like yesterday, I'd find the strength to carry on. So let your spirit shine along the way, and our day will surely come. But the heartache and the pain linger on. They're still here, though it's so long since you've gone. We're stronger now. You showed us how freedom's fight can be won if we all stand as one. Thanks very much. Now, I'm going to sing a song for Kate and Nora down there as well, you know, and they mentioned Clancy. Well, play a tune called Clancy, maybe Isabela myself, and we might play a tune afterwards, which or else we play. But this is a song that Clancy did in the very beginning. And I happened to be there in the beginning when they were starting up. Like, I didn't know Christy Moore as well then as I do now, and we became very good friends in the 70s. We met on a boat coming back from England. We were coming back on the same boat from England. He was afraid to fly, and I couldn't get home any other way. so the two of us bumped into each other literally on the boat home from England, which was very appropriate because we were both had real sort of, as I mentioned at the very beginning, exiled hearts, you know. So exile was very important. So we became friends very quickly, and this was one of the songs about London that Clancy sang, and it was written by Ewan MacColl, and it's about the River Thames. And I had a job once working actually with Connemara men. They looked after me awful well, working on an underpass down on Blackfriars, you know. Oh, Lord God, I think I lasted about 3 days. But they were very good. They were very good to me. They were very good to me. People actually that spoke Irish, and only Irish as they spoke, you know. And my experience of learning Irish in school wasn't great, to put it mildly. But when I went there and heard them speaking Irish, that was a different thing, you know. I loved it. Right, so this is lovely, and if you know this, it's actually on Clancy's first LP. The black cover one with the spotlight on Donegal in it. It's a nice one. So it's a lovely song. I always have great fondness for London, and something about being in Rochester today reminds me of that exile and friendship and stuff like that, you know. Especially being in the mayor's house. Jeez, I was never in the mayor's house before. The mayor's house, and that's a really nice name for a tune, isn't it? Right. I met my love near Woolwich Pier, beneath the big crane standing. All the love I felt for her, it passed all understanding. Took her sailing on the river, flow, sweet river flow. London town was mine to give her, sweet Thames, flow softly. Gave her Richmond Park to twist, flow, sweet river flow, into a bracelet for her wrist, sweet Thames, flow softly. From Shadwell Dock to Nine Elms Reach, we cheek to cheek were dancing. Her necklace made of London Bridge, her beauty was enhancing. Kissed her once again at Wapping Flow, sweet river flow. After that there was no stopping, sweet Thames, flow softly. Gave her Hampton Court to twist, flow, sweet river flow. Into a bracelet for her wrist, sweet Thames, flow softly. But now, alas, the tide has changed, my love, she has gone from me, and winter's frost has touched my heart and put a blight upon me. Creeping fog is on the river flow, sweet river flow. Sun and moon and stars gone with her, sweet Thames, flow softly. Swift the Thames flows to the sea, flow, sweet river flow, bearing ships and part of me, sweet Thames, flow softly. met my love near Woolwich Pier, beneath the big crane standing, and all the love I felt for her, it passed all understanding. I took her sailing on the river flow, sweet river flow. Sun and moon and stars go with her, sweet Thames flow softly. Swift the Thames flows to the sea, flow sweet river flow, bearing ships and part of me. Sweet Thames flow softly. Curran, thank you very much. Really usually. Isabela, my wife, will come up and join us for a tune on the mandolin, and we'll play something. Isabela comes from Peru, as some of you know, from Lima, Peru, and we live in the west of Ireland. We met in Motown, just down the road from the studio. Literally, Isabela was working in Motown, and just down the studio from where all that great music came from. Marty and sorry? Yeah. So again, for Marty O'Keefe, especially down there, well, sure, we're dedicating the night to yourself and to Liam McGee and to all the McGees. Deirdre.
John, did you know that the tune you played before Marty's recitation was one of his standards? I just thought that was really
Really?
Yeah, that's one of the tunes that Marty plays all the time.
Wow.
What was that tune? Do you remember on
I played on the fiddle.
You played on the fiddle right before his recitation.
Oh yeah. The knotted chord. That's
one of Marty's standards.
Yeah, because it is. It's a really West Clare. Yeah, really, John. Yeah, that's lovely. I love when things like that.
That was the tune he played. It's one of Marty's. It's that damn A again, Isabella.
My heart is broken, but what your eyes rise. Does anybody know that? The White Horsey. Now we're going to play two Clare reels. These are definitely Clare reels, called the Earl's Chair, and the second one is called The Humours of Tulla. Now it's in East Clare. That was lovely, Isabela. And now, and again, just in case, there's so many people that I want to thank. You know, it's beginning with Jed Curran for all the help. And Barb. Where is Barb? There she is. And if it wasn't for the Dadys, I'd be here, no instruments to play, one arm as long as the other. And also Chris at the back on the video. Yourselves, each one of yourselves, and I really mean it. Like I can't put it any other way but to thank each one of you, like individually but collectively, whatever like that too, for coming here and being part of through listening and participate, being part of a night that personally I couldn't think of a better night. That's true. That's true. That is really true. And Julie here in the front, and these, and that's really good, and everybody else, and then there's 3 people going to play music now. That I think the night is really, if it was called, we all know that it's about friendship and about a seed that I met Liam McGee in Ireland and said, well, you never know, might go out and play a tune or two or sing a song for your family and friends, and here we are, Isabela and myself. So these three lads as well, John and Jed and Steve, and we'll do a couple of songs together, whatever they want to do, and finish up the night. So that's what it's about, really. It's about playing together and enjoying. And thanks to playing everybody. I leave it at that then. So get your guitars and.
Yeah.
Well, you play the octave.
Play the octave, John.
Stevie Bright.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if we could get, there's a young stud here that's a great player. We get him up to do a tune with you first, maybe. John Ryan.
Yeah, let's do that.
You don't have an accordion up there, do you?
Nobody might have a whistle. Probably isn't a whistle.
Jesus, is that any good? It's a blue one. It's a blue one.
Oh, I prefer red one.
Do you want to play that one? Yeah. John Ryan. John, what's your name again?
John Ryan.
John Ryan. Great name. Anything you like, John? Anything good? John Yeah, sure.
John Ryan, get yourself up on the chair so I can see you.
This is a D, is it?
That's a D, was it? Yeah. Lovely. Steve, do you want to join in the guitar?
I'll grab a guitar for this tune.
What do you want, John?
Just for this tune, I'll grab a guitar.
Yeah, lovely. Cool. 3 loads.
No, a long time, I have.
Well, thanks, John. I appreciate that. Both Johns. All right.
Good melody.
You'll be close to that back leg to
John Ryan, it's lovely, beautiful, and lovely to meet. Those three made famous by Michael Coleman, Tarbolton, place in Scotland. The T. Michael Coleman, yeah. And then
Donegal.
the other one,
Sligo.
and then the Longford Collector and the Sailor's Bonnet. They were made famous in the 20s by Michael Coleman. He made them. So now we'll have Jed and Steve to join for a couple of
Can I sing one song?
More than one.
Well, I would just like to sing a song because I think the only thing missing is fine. The only thing missing tonight is Liam McGee. So I'll do you a Liam McGee song. And hopefully you can sing along on the chorus. Where the cold wind always blows, it's a lonesome road, you know, for a man who is always on the go. I bet you no one knows how a man could feel so low out here where the cold wind always blows. I don't normally play with the octave, but you know, what the hell. It'll work great, yeah. And we'll send us out to Ricardo, who I think lived a lot of this song with Liam. Hear the mighty thunder crack all night, lightning streaks across the evening sky, and the rain just seems to flow, and I am unconsoled. I hear where the cold wind always blows. California's living far behind, where man could go and find some peace of mind. So there I did go, there's nothing I didn't know. I hear where the cold wind always blows. Sing along. Where the cold wind always blows, it's a lonesome road, you know, for a man who is always on the go. I bet you no one knows how a man could feel so low. I hear where the cold wind always blows. Tijuana's just another border town. Women and tequila put me down. I woke up this morning froze with a numbness in my nose. I hear where the cold wind always blows. Where the cold wind always blows, it's a lonesome road, you know, for a man who is always on the go. I bet you no one knows how a man could feel so low. I hear where the cold wind always blows. Oh, New York, I'm coming back again. Place that I could hop an old freight train. In these old ragged clothes, I'm a man that no one knows. I hear where the cold wind always blows. Where the cold wind always blows, it's a lonesome road, you know, for a man who is always on the go. I bet you no one knows how a man could feel so low. I hear where the cold wind always blows. Lord, I do believe I've had enough. This old road is getting mighty rough. My spirits are so low, but that's the way it goes. I hear where the cold wind always blows. Where the cold wind always blows, it's a lonesome road, you know, for a man who is always on the go. I bet you no one knows how a man could feel so low. I hear where the cold wind always blows. Once more for Liam. Where the cold wind always blows, it's a lonesome road, you know, for a man who is always on the go. I bet you no one knows how a man could feel so low. I hear where the cold wind always blows.
Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. You want to hear one more from John and Isabela? I think, yeah. Very special that they're here. Lucky guy, I woke up, that music filled my living room, my house today. You know, they were trying out the instruments and I was in heaven. So it's a rare treat to have folks like John and Isabela here. So we'll have them close out the night for us.
Isabela has decided to play the New Mown Meadow and the Silver Sphere. This is called the New Mown Meadow, and again it's kind of the last tune or whatever that we'll play for you, and we're really delighted to get this chance to play for you all. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see you back in Rochester again, and we'll see you through the week, we'll see you through the window, we'll see you somewhere through the door.
See you in Westport.
See you in Westport. Slán, Mayo, Slán.
There you go.
Say hello to Liam. God bless you, Liam. We miss you.
Got
See you in September.
Yeah, let's get Curran. Look at it go.
Good to see you, Liam.
We love you, Liam.
Mr. Brother Mayo. We'll be back in September.